Some people might say, why are you worried about your prospective child when there are so many children in foster care who also need homes? And that's true, those children do need loving homes, but so does your child. That doesn't take away from the fact that your child also needs a loving home. When I was 21 years old, I had an unplanned pregnancy, and I chose life through an open adoption. I chose an adoption because I knew that I wouldn't be able to give the child the childhood that he or she needed. Being born to two parents who were poor and didn't have a stable relationship, myself and my sister had a tumultuous childhood. Luckily, my dad was able to turn his life around, and after he met my stepmom, she helped him go to firefighter school and get a good job and pull us out of poverty. But I know that if we hadn't been so lucky, it could have easily gone the other way, and I didn't want to risk that happening to my child. So when I got pregnant, I was halfway through college, and I had lots of student loans, but no degree yet. So I wouldn't be able to rely on myself much financially to raise a child. I myself wasn't in a stable relationship, and I didn't have a lot of family support, so I didn't think that I'd be able to rely on that either. Even though I was pressured by some people to terminate the pregnancy, I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do, especially after I got my first ultrasound and I saw him right there. I chose to go with an open adoption because when I was about a year old, my mom got pregnant with twins, and she decided to go with a closed adoption. That may have been the right choice for her and the family who adopted, but for me, I knew that I wanted to be able to see the child grow up and have a happy life. And if I ever were to have kids in the future, I would want them to be able to meet if they wanted to. I was really scared of judgment. Sometimes I would get some weird looks and weird questions just about the process, and I understood that a lot of that was because people didn't understand. And so I tried to explain to them what a wonderful thing it was going to be and what a wonderful thing it is. And I did receive some unwelcome comments. I had an anonymous message online once saying, if you're going to have a child, you should take care of it. Just saying. And I wished I could have told that person that I was taking care of him by choosing adoption in the best way that I could. I was also scared of the birth process, but I knew that any short amount of pain would be worth seeing the lifetime of joy that he had afterwards. The beauty of an open adoption is that there's no mystery. The adoptive parents have been open and honest with Leo his whole life about who myself and the birth father are, and he'll grow up knowing that we love him and that we did the best thing that we could for him. If you don't act like it's a secret, the child will never think it's a weird thing, and it's not weird unless you make it weird.
Of course, Erin likes to make things
I just nodded.
really weird.
Unless you want to make things weird. I think it's really good to have communication with the adoptive parents throughout the entire pregnancy, because then you never lose sight of the fact that you're carrying someone else's child inside of you. I invited the parents to be present when I had ultrasounds and everything like that, so they got to be part of the experience of the pregnancy, and it was something that we went through together. And I think that part of the reason our adoption was so successful is because I didn't have any mixed feelings or regrets or anything at all about the whole situation, and I understood that I was just giving a gift to both Leo and the adoptive parents, and I shouldn't expect anything in return for that other than getting to see him grow up. I think a common misconception about open adoption is that the birth parent will come back and try to act like a parent to the child after they're born, but that's not what it is. You have to understand that you're in the child's life, but you're not giving parent advice or trying to be a parent. You're just there helping and watching the child grow up and seeing what a wonderful life they have. I feel really fortunate that Jim and Aaron have let me be a part of Leo's life. They feel like it's just a huge gift for Leo to be able to receive all this extra love, and it helps them to be more open, knowing that I'm not gonna swoop in and try to act like a parent one day. There are certain things that you should keep in mind just to make things easier with not creating difficult bonds between the birth mother and the child. For example, when I was in the hospital, the adoptive mother was there, and she was right next to me when I delivered, and Leo's first skin-to-skin contact was with her right after he was born. I also pumped, but she was the one who fed him to create that bond between the two of them and strengthen it. Some people are scared of adoption because they feel that their body will change during pregnancy, and it will, whether it be a little bit or a lot. But the important thing is to remember that that's just part of the sacrifice that you're making to give this child a life, and to make sure that they have a good life. I don't regret it one bit. Even when I see the little stretch marks around my belly button, it just reminds me that Leo grew up in there, and now he's growing up outside in the world, and he's happy. If I was going to give advice to someone who's thinking about open adoption, I would say sit down and think about what you really want for yourself and for the child, and don't listen to what other people have to say to you just for a minute until you figure things out. And then you can reach out and seek advice from people who have been through the process before. If you can't seem to find a couple right off the bat who also wants an open adoption, don't give up just yet. I would say keep looking and maybe even expand your search. I lived in Florida when I was pregnant, and the adoptive parents lived in North Carolina, so that was quite a distance for them to be searching, but it ended up being perfect because we were a great, compatible match for each other. Just know that if you choose an open adoption and you decide that it's too much for you, you can go back to having a closed adoption. But any pain or any fear or anxiety that I had is totally washed away by the joy of getting to know Leo.